There we go. Right. Hello BookTube, it's Louise the Bighaired Bookworm. Lovely to see you. Hope you're well. Hope you're having a good day. Whatever it is you're doing, or wherever it is that you are doing it. Hello, I haven't been here for ages. How have you been? Are you well? Are you enjoying nice sunshine or nice rain wherever you are? We are having a glorious day here today in my new abode. Yes, we've moved house. Sorry, I'm just going to double check that this is actually running. Yes, it is. I did suddenly wonder, did I actually even switch this on? And am I just chatting to myself? Well, I am just chatting to myself because there's nobody else here. But hopefully there is somebody going to be watching this. You haven't all deserted me in this 5-6 weeks since I've been gone. Yes, we've moved house. We moved house again. Hopefully not going to be moving house for a while. It was one of those unexpected moves, and at the time when I found out we were going to move, when we both found out we were going to move, we were a bit horrified. I ain't gonna lie. So this is just going to be a catch-up video where I have got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 books to show you, which are some of the books that I have been reading recently. I haven't got all of them because there were rereads along the way, which I actually don't know where some of them are. I've moved them in the unpacking. Can I just show you? It's never ending. It just keeps going. It's just books. There we are. Yes, so in some of the unpacking, I don't know where I've put some of them, but never mind. So I'm just going to do a little bit of catch up. So to begin with, if you want to grab yourself a little drink, I've got some sparkling water here to keep me going. We'll have a chat up. We will not chat up. We will have a little catch up, and then I will talk books. And I won't be going in to great depths about these books. Hopefully I'll be nice and snappy. Be a snappy video. Yes, so we found out we were going to have to move in February, and we had until May to move. And actually we decided to get out quicker than that, because it was like, once you know you're going to move, just go. That was how we felt. Having done a move not 10 months before, we found we were living quite lightly in the house, and so packing wasn't horrific. It was fine, but it was just, having to move. And we've actually moved out of our parish where we were, and that's been a thing, that we've actually moved away from where we were living. We are still in Cambridgeshire, but we were in South Cambridgeshire on the east of England, and we are now North Cambridgeshire. We are just outside of a small town called St Ives, which is glorious, and we are so happy here, and the move will be really fabulous. It's just a question of sorting it all out. That's what it is, isn't it? It's all the upheaval, and it's taken about this time to get our routine sorted. Now, it's been brilliant for the husband, where his job is, and it is now a permanent job, and because he's been contracting, but he's decided to go permanent, and that was something that's been happening in the last month. There's been a potential job change and what have you. He's now like only 25 minutes away, which is wonderful, so he's sorted. However, poor Benedict's school is not 25 minutes away, so this term I'm actually commuting him there and back every day, and then in September he'll be starting a new school, so we've got all of that kind of change still to come for him, but we've had a bit of a change of routine, so I've lost hours in my day because I'm commuting him. Now, one half, it has been amazing. He has taken it brilliantly, and he's been like, this is just an opportunity for us to sit in the car together, and we're actually listening to Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. It is the 6th in the Harry Potter series, as I'm sure you know, and he hasn't heard it or hasn't read it or hasn't watched it. So we've been listening to that on our journeys, and it's got to the point where we've only got 2 hours left, and he's literally getting in the car and pressing play so that we can sit and listen to it. And sometimes when I drop him off and press pause and I go, right, bye, I'm like, I want to carry on listening, but I can't because he's not in the car. So that has been really lovely. And then we're going to go straight on to Deathly Hallows when we finished our are number 6. So that's been, so there have been some really positive things. So we've had such lovely time, actually. Me and Benedict sat in the car together, chatting away. And if you have got children, especially boys in your life, sitting in a car, sitting next to each other, not face to face, is actually really good chatting time, because it's just so much less threatening for a boy or girl, I suppose, but especially for boys, it's always supposed to be less threatening, that you're not looking at them and they're able to speak to you. You're a captive audience, but you're not looking at them. You're not, tell me your feelings. So that's good. So those little stuff's come up, and I just kind of go, oh, okay. And I'm sure it's because we've got, this time, morning and evening together. So that's kind of lovely. But it is knocking hell out of my day, and with all the move, it's taken some time. It's really taken some time, and I guess it's been interesting because I've left a house where I was close to Mo. My mum. If you don't know, if you're new to the channel, my mum died January last year, and the whole of last year I was in a real state of grief, and actually leaving that house where I felt so low has been really good for me, and I have felt a lightening of spirit, and I have felt that there has been a change, because we've moved out of that area, and it's almost like there's a fresh start. So that has been really glorious. It takes so much time when you're close to somebody and you lose them. And I know that there have been people who watch this channel who have lost people recently, or lost somebody around the time I lost somebody. But I do know there are people that have lost people recently. And it took me a whole year of being very gentle with myself, to get to the stage where I can kind of go, well, most days I'm okay. And it is still most days. It's still not all days. It's still most days. And, and actually moving the house has been really good for that as well. So that's kind of, I can really feel parts of myself that were lost in grief last year are coming back again. And I'm kind of going, oh, I'd forgotten you like that, or hello you, and it's been really lovely. And also, so BookTube, you've been part of that. BookTube, you have been part of that, because you've been opening your heart to me, and I felt the love and support and everything like that from you. So there was a possibility I kind of really ummed and ahed about coming back, because it was, I got out of the spirit of it and everything like that. But the sense of the community in the bookish community is so amazing, and I have met through the internet so many wonderful people. I just thought, I can't leave them. I need you in my life. I need you. Yes, you in my life. So thank you for that. So now I have wibbled far too long already, but we've had so much to chat about, and that's just such a small part of what I've got to say. But we're here for the books, people. Let's do books. So I counted up as to how many books that I have read the beginning of for this year, and I have read, I think it's 39. And I thought, oh, that doesn't actually sound like a lot. And I looked back and I had read 37 last year. So I'm obviously pretty comparable to my reading spurts. There were times, like over the week that I was moving, that I didn't read. I think I read like kind of 2-3 pages a day. My head was too full, even for escapist fiction. And there is a fair bit of escapist fiction in here. But I have read some good stuff recently, and I've got one book which I'm planning on reading, which is my last book, which is my current starter, I think. I only picked it last night, and I think I'm in the mood for it. But anyway, let me show you some of the books. As I said, there have been some rereads, and I have no idea where they are. But let's go into some bookish news, and if I can remember what to do. So, Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I think you knew that. I finished this. I loved it. Loved it way more than I thought I would. It's a YA science fiction. No, what was it? Fantasy heist. Really good. Set in the Grisha universe. I read the Grisha trilogy. I read the first two in the Grisha trilogy. I know what happens in the last one, I don't think I'm going to read it. So I am aware of the Grisha universe. However, I'd completely forgotten all about it, and it didn't stop my enjoyment of the book whatsoever. So I read that, and then I finished the duology with Crooked Kingdom. So I read both of them, Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. It's a little duology. Really enjoyed it. I believe you could read them as a standalone. You don't need to know that much about the Grisha universe. It's explained for you enough to pick them up if you're used to reading fantasy. Really enjoyed it. I believe it deserves all the hype that it got. And it got a lot of hype, let's be honest. But I would be really interested to see, because she's just released the cover of her new, I think it's a duology. And yes, I shall be reading that when it comes out in paperback. Not going to read it hardback. I did read this, The Saffron Road, A Journey with Buddha's Daughters by Toomey. I can hear a car starting up out there. I don't know if you can hear it. So I read this. This is... Did I tell you I read that? I can't remember if I told you I read this. This is all about women that choose the path of a Buddhist nun. So we're familiar, I don't know if you're like me, but you would be familiar with seeing Buddhist monks. And for example, you will know about the Dalai Lama and that kind of tradition. And there is as strong a tradition for women to follow and become Buddha's daughter, become a daughter of Buddha. And it is an extreme path to take. And this, Christine Toomey is a former BBC journalist. No, she's not. She is a journalist. She's a journalist? Yes, she is a journalist. She's an overseas journalist. I think she's done stuff with the BBC World Service and that kind of stuff, but she's done a lot of journalism. Oh, it's a good month ago that I read this, and I can't remember who she is now. Foreign correspondent and feature writer for the Sunday Times and various other people as well. Not BBC. Scrap that. Forget it. Erase it. So she heard about these Buddhist nuns and was feeling very jaded from all the travelling she'd done and all the atrocities she'd seen and the kind of the pain that the women have to endure during upheavals and the violence that is quite often wrought upon them physically, wrought upon their body, and the lives that they have to lead. And so she wanted something to find about people. She wanted something different, a different story of women. And so went and studied these women, these Buddhist nuns, and learnt about them. I flew through this, actually. It was during our final week of packing, I think I was reading it, and I flew through it. I found it really fascinating. She's a very engaging writer, so for that I really enjoyed it. If you are interested in Buddhism, if you're interested in kind of spiritual leanings in any way, it's fascinating for that. If you have any feminist leanings, which I do, I'm proud feminist, it's fascinating on that. I thought she still dwelt upon the violence that is inflicted upon women. I would have preferred more of the spiritual calling, and it was a lot more about why these particular women across the world, but why each woman's story as to why they became a nun, and less about the actual Buddhism that they were studying or what they'd come, that kind of thing. But then I think it's such a personal journey that what they're actually experiencing now and who they are now, they seem less, she doesn't seem to go into that as much. So there's still an awful lot about the violence that is wreaked upon women and how they choose to deal with that. So I kind of would have preferred the focus to be slightly different. However, I did really enjoy it, and I would say it is a very good book, and I can recommend it. A couple of new buys that I have read recently. I kind of bought and read straight away. So this is The Girl Who Takes an Eye for an Eye by David Lagercrantz. This is the 5th in the Millennium trilogy. So Stieg Larsson wrote the Millennium trilogy, which starts with the girl with a Dragon Tattoo. This is the 5th one, The Girl Who Takes an Eye for an Eye. A very, very good thriller. It isn't as powerful as the Millennium Trilogy. It isn't as powerful as that. Elizabeth Slander, who is such a strong feminist character in the first 3 books, is featured heavily in these books. It's a continuation. However, she isn't as strong, she isn't as feisty. The whole book isn't as meaty as those are, but it's a very good thriller and I really enjoyed it. So there we are. Flew through that. I also picked up Scythe by Neal Shusterman. So this was popular on BookTube a couple of years ago, and then I've seen a resurgence of it, and I wonder if it's because the second one's come out, which is called Thunderhead, I think, which is out in hardback at the moment. Yes. And I shall wait until it comes out in paperback and read it. It is a fantasy book. What if death was the only thing left to control? In a perfect world, the only way to die is to be gleaned by a professional scythe. It's about 2 teenagers who are chosen to be an apprentice to a scythe and learn how to become scythes themselves. There's lots of intrigue and what have you, and I kind of took me a bit to get into it, but once I was into it, thought it was great. Thought it was really, really good. Will be reading the next one when it comes out in paperback. I thought it was very good. And on this cover, it just is so good. Isn't that cover good? The husband saw it, was like, ooh, but that looks, and it is really good. I love this kind of the stuff about kind of necromancers or death or that kind of stuff. And yeah, so that was really good. Right, yes. 2 other new ones, which I picked up in a charity bookshop in St Ives. And I was looking for some kind of, I was just having a mooch round, and they had such a good of this American paranormal fantasy. And I was like, what? And an awful lot of them looked completely unread. But it was such a good selection of these kind of books, which are published by Avon. And normally, I don't get to see them in bookshops. You would just have to order them in. But they are paranormal romances with a bit of sauce. Oh, yes. I picked it up. Do you know, somebody somewhere has recommended Jeaniene Frost. We'll go with that, to me at some point. I'm sure they have. Was it you? If you recommended it to me? Somebody has said, why don't you try her? When I was bemoaning the fact I'd read all my Nalini Sings, which are here. For I could whip them out at a moment's notice. And so I saw this. I saw it. I thought, do you know, I'm sure I've read that. Somebody said that to me. So it's paranormal romance. So I picked this one up, and this, it said it was the first in a series, first in a trilogy, or first in a series called The First Drop of Crimson. He's about to wreak all the damage on her neck, and it looks like vampire trash, basically. And I read it. So I bought it and I read it. And it is utter book candy. Oh my word. It was just, I had a day where I just sat and I read this. And it was so good. It was so good. I mean, well, it's so bad, but it's so good at the same time. So if you like paranormal romance and you want a bit of sauce in your life, then I thought it was great. However, first in the series, first chapter, I was like, what? Who? What? I thought, how can I be finding a romance hard to read? I realised it's a companion series. It's the spin-off series. So there was a series of 4 books, starting with Halfway to the Grave, In This World, Night Huntress, book 1. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of these, and then spin-off series featuring characters that you have met during this. Well, I hadn't met the ones in here. I'd only read this one. So I was like, who? What? Because obviously she was doing some explaining, but she was expecting you to have read this. I hadn't read this. I'd only read this. And I was like, what? Who? What? Why is it doing that? Anyway, by about chapter 3, I was fully up to speed, and I was there. I was there for it, and I read it in a day. So, of course, I got this one. So I have actually got all 4. First 2 are in this nice kind of sale, and then the other 2 are in this style. But who cares? Little mass market paperback. So I read this one. First Drop of Crimson. I may have gone back to that charity shop, £1 friends. £1 this cost me. I may have gone back to that charity shop and I may have picked up yet more of their fabulous range of paranormal romance that's just waiting to be read by me. Yes, me. So I read those two. So I read that. I was like, what? I need to know the first, so I need to read the first 4. So I read that. So I've read the first 2 of this. Oh, have I picked up the other? Yes, here it is. There we are. That's the second one. So it's halfway to the grave and then 1 foot in the grave. And I read those after reading that one. So all the paranormal romance. But like book candy, like normal candy, you can only read so much before you go, oh, I've had enough. I can only read so many in a go before I go, oh, that's enough for me. Thank you very much. But those 3 were fabulous, and I may well be treating myself to a bit more book candy in the next couple of days. I had a slow read of this. It wasn't one of my quicker reads, but it's The Last Tutor by Philippa Gregory. It's a bit different, isn't it? Yes, vampires and then historical fiction. So this features Jane Grey, who was Queen of England for 9 days after thingy. What was his name? Arthur. So Henry VIII's son Arthur, and then it was Lady Grey, and then it was Mary, Queen Mary. So this is about Jane Grey, and then her sister Catherine Grey, and then her other sister Mary Grey. So it's about those 3 sisters. It was not one of her best, I have to say. I really like Philippa Gregory's Tudor books, but not one of her best. It felt really repetitive. It felt like she was doing it for completion rather than it was a full story. It's a long book. How many pages? 513 pages, and it felt like there was so much padding, and it just was really repetitive. I think it might have been because it was episodic, so it was about 3 different sisters, and so you did one life, and then you did the next life, and then you did the next life, and all 3 of them had such strong elements of the same life that you just were like, oh, no, what's going to happen? Oh, no, what's going to happen? And that, and it's not happy endings. So, yeah, not good. Not one of her best ones. I read it, but I struggled with it, actually, so might be giving Philippa a bit of a rest for a while. I read Escape Me Never by Sarah Craven as a bit of a Mills and Boon romance. Oh, it was awful. It was awful, friends, let me tell you. If anybody says, you must read, go, no, I'm not going to. That really was quite bad. I picked up A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. Yes, it is the little... They're saying it's a novella. It's quite long for a novella, but it is the small book. It is her kind of... to keep us interested for another year before she brings out a next chunky one of... Are they here? No, I don't know where they are. I can't see where they've gone. Oh, here. So I haven't got ACOTAR, A Court of Thorn and Roses, but A Court of Mist and Fury, Court of Wings and Ruin. So that was a trilogy, and then she's carrying on the series, and this is the little novella to keep you interested, A Court of Frost and Starlight. It was very good. I read it in a day. It's a real quick read. It's big print. It's 200 pages long. 50? No. 230 pages long. It's really easy to read. If you like ACOTAR, ACOMAF, all of those, then you will enjoy it. If you don't like it, you will loathe it. So that's what I can say about that. A big fly just come in. I picked up and read Gemina, which is the Illuminated Files #2 by Amie Kaufman and J. Kristoff. And here is the first one, Illuminated. This is the second one, Gemina. For some reason I've been putting it off, and I'm not sure why. I think it's because it's a mixed media book, so you have to be in the mood for reading mixed media. So YA, sci-fi and fantasy, mixed media, kind of almost a graphic novel, but it's not quite a graphic novel. I really enjoyed Illuminate and read it really quickly, and for some reason I haven't picked this one up, but I did pick it up, and I'm now like, why didn't you pick it up earlier? Because it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Perhaps you just need to be in that kind of mood, but flew through it. It had excellent wit in it, way more than that one. I don't remember laughing at that one, but this one actually made me laugh out loud quite a lot of times. Some really good humour in this, which in dire straits they are quipping away. If you're a fan of kind of Firefly and that kind of humour, there was quite a lot of that kind of humour in this, and I really enjoyed it. It really made me laugh. So that was quite good. So the third one's come out in paperback, so it's my birthday in a couple of weeks. So I might be treating myself to the third one of that as a little treat. So that's what I've read recently. Oh, I've also read The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I read that on my Kindle. It was all right. Fine. It's kind of YA fae story. It was okay. I'm seeing a lot of people loving it. I didn't really love it. I've listened to White Hot Truth by Danielle Laporte. I'm a huge Danielle Laporte fan. She is a, what would you call her? Motivational speaker, spiritual seeker, entrepreneur, feisty woman. That's what I would call her, feisty woman. So it is one of her more personal books, where she delves into her own past and brings through the stories and the spiritual truths from there. And she's done a lot of spiritual seeking, so she's gone through a lot of those kind of practices, like all the meditation practices, and yeah, so it was really good, really powerful, really motivating. Again, made me laugh out loud. It's very good as an audio book because it's her voice, and if you like her, i.e. you're going to be reading the book because you like her, probably you're going to know who she is. So it was really powerful having her read it out to you, and she's got a brilliant turn of phrase. My only thing is that she's obviously knee deep in the New Age spiritual world of Canada and North America in particular, so she knows a lot of the well-known names, and she's obviously referring to them at times, but it's kind of almost like a tiny bit of backstage gossip and alluding to things that are happening, and you're like, who is it? Who is it? You know, who are you talking about? Who are you? You're kind of saying that these people are acting in a shady fashion. Who? I don't know who it is, and that kind of stuff. And there's a bit of kind of like, I know stuff. And she also has a way of talking about, she always wants it to be cool and sexy. That's obviously something. She's a metropolitan lady. She lives in Vancouver. She is cool and sexy. And I was actually comparing our lives, because I'm a similar age. She's about 3-4 years older than me. But I'm married with one child. She's divorced with one child. And so there is a similarity there and everything. And she has this kind of way. And I was like, I was just thinking, I don't want to be cool and sexy. Good job, but I don't have that kind of urge to be seen as cool and sexy in any way, shape or form, or even do trendy, cool and sexy things. I don't. I'm just not. I'm just not, friends. And so by the end of it, I was like, yeah, okay, less about that, less about what's cool and what's sexy and what's hip, and drinking green juice. I drink green juice, but I don't do it to be seen. I don't know. There was a bit of it that slightly distanced me, but her actual message, her motivational message, I was completely there for it and thought it was brilliant. So, and a lot of the truths that she talks about were really powerful. So I really enjoyed that. So if you're interested in it, there we go. So this is the book that I am considering. I might be reading one of those paranormal romances. I might be going into the garden with a cup of tea and reading one of those, because it's such a nice day. And the other thing I am looking to read, I treat myself to a hardback every month, and I go into a real bricks and mortar shop and I go and I buy it, because you've got to put your money where your mouth is and where you want your flow of energy to be, and I want bricks and mortar bookshops, and so I go and I buy a hardback from them. And I really wanted this one, and it's Madeline Miller and the Postman. Hello. Later, shall we say. I was just posting stuff. Nothing exciting. Cersei. So it's Madeline Miller, Cersei, and it is about Cersei, who was the daughter of, in the house of Helios, god of sun and the mightiest of the Titans, a daughter is born. Cersei, and it's all about her. I really enjoyed Song of Achilles, which was her first book. So when I knew that she was going to be writing about Circe, which again is in the kind of the Greek myth. Hello. Oh, that's nice. Look, on a book cuddle. Is in the Greek myth pantheon and is all about that kind of stuff. I wanted to have a read of it as well, and then I saw what a beautiful hardback it was. I thought, that's not going to stay very, very long. I thought I must treat myself to it, so I have. I've treated myself to it. So I picked it up last night, and I read the kind of acknowledgements and what have you, but I haven't read any more of that. But that's what I'm planning on reading next. That'll be in my next week or so. So me and this lovely stack of books are going to bid you goodbye. I am actually getting a book cuddle. How nice is that? Oh, that's nice. Right, well there we go, BookTube. First video back, it's half an hour long. Sorry about that. So I did warn you it was going to be a long one, and I'd hoped that I'd go through these books a bit quicker than I did, but I had a bit more than I actually expected. So here we are, obligatory stack, and then I'm going to move it before it falls on the floor. There we go. And there we go. So next video, I have got books to show you that I bought recently. I've got quite a lot of them, but I'll be quick about it, I promise you. In fact, I might actually film that now. No, I won't. Film it another day. This has been lovely, BookTube. It's been lovely to be back, and I look forward to speaking to you again.